When I learned about the Montessori approach, it instantly resonated with me. My only issue with it was that everything I found on Pinterest was kind of identical and also looked rather expensive, like all of the wooden toys and the extra furniture for kids. I really didn't want to spend that much money, so I decided to be a little bit more creative and integrate Montessori principles without making it super expensive. And today I want to show you how we bring Montessori into our house and make our environment kids friendly. Hi, my name is Anastasia and I'm a mother of a 2-year-old toddler, and I make videos about mindful motherhood. So if that is your vibe, then follow me and let's be friends. I learned about Montessori when my son was a few months old, and I kind of wish that I found out about it earlier, because then I would have made different choices when designing his room. But who doesn't make mistakes? And honestly, you can always adjust your space regardless of whether you just starting to plan for a baby space or whether you already have a child and just want to make your and your child's lives a little bit easier. So let me take you to my son's room. So let me start with the most obvious one. And here we have the classic IKEA Kallax shelf on which we display his toys. And according to the Montessori approach, there are several reasons why is it good to display toys on open shelves at kids' height. Visibility and accessibility. Open shelving ensures that toys and materials are easily visible and accessible to children. This setup encourages independence, as children can choose what they want to play with, take it from the shelf by themselves, and then put it back once they are finished. Encourages order. The Montessori method places a high value on order and organization. Open shelves help children learn to maintain a tidy and organized environment by returning items to their designated place. This sense of order is believed to reflect positively on the child's cognitive and emotional development. Simplifies choices. By carefully curating the items that are placed on the shelves and limiting the number of choices, children are not overwhelmed. This simplicity in choice helps maintain the focus and deepens their engagement with the materials. Aesthetics and respect. Montessori environments are designed to be beautiful and respectful of the child as an individual. Open shelves contribute to a pleasant and inviting atmosphere that respects children's abilities to make decisions about what they want to engage with. So all of this makes the Kallax shelf absolutely perfect for this kind of purpose, and we just happen to have one at home. I honestly feel like everybody has at least one of them at home already, and if not, they are super accessible, used on Facebook Marketplace, for example, or here in Germany, eBay Kleinanzeigen. And if you don't like the look of Kallax shelf, there are also other options. It doesn't have to be this particular one. You can just go with a shoe rack, honestly, or you can build your own cheap version with just wooden panels. It doesn't need to have separators in the middle. It can just be 2 shelves that would be low at your child's height. The only important thing is that you can have some open shelving, you can display toys on there, and you like the way it looks, because I honestly feel that a piece of furniture that is an eyesore is not good for any family member, including your kid, but most importantly, you. Next to his play area, he has a reading corner with bookshelves, which are just frame holders from IKEA for like 3-4 euros, I don't know. And he doesn't really use them that often right now, because he also has a shelf right next to his bed, and we mostly only read at bedtime, so that is where he puts all of his books that he's currently liking to read. He also has a full-size toddler bed, and traditionally Montessori suggests floor bed for babies starting from the very beginning, but honestly we've been co-sleeping forever. I think we only stopped co-sleeping when he was about 20 months old. It just didn't make sense at that point anymore to give him a floor bed. I didn't want to give him a smaller toddler bed because mainly it was important for me that in case he needs our support, an adult can still comfortably lie here together with him and spend the entire night here without, having to go like this. We built this bed together with Frederick, and he loved it. From day one, he wanted to sleep here. The transition was super smooth. I think after we've gotten him this big bed for big boy, he only slept once in our bed again, and ever since then he's been sleeping in this bed every single night, every single nap. And of course, it is super important that he can just reach the books for the bedtime from the bed without having to get up, and I can reach them when I'm reading him the books, and it's also making the entire area much cozier and much more welcoming for him. Same goes for his nightstand. It's a bit messy, but it does the job. It's, again, the cheapest IKEA table I could find. And the main reason for it is that he can have his water bottle right next to his bed, and his Yoto player, and his camera and white noise, and napkins, and the lamp, so that he can, if he wants to drink, he can just wake up, grab the water bottle. And I've seen him in the camera. He does that sometimes in full darkness. He just knows where his water is, and then he just goes straight back to sleep, and he doesn't need my help with that at all. Here's another play area that we have for Frederick with a little piano, and this again is the cheapest TV stand from IKEA that they have, I think, and it's just perfect size for babies, honestly. Now, a few words about the Montessori wardrobe. The Montessori approach suggests that you also make the wardrobe as accessible to the child as possible, and usually that would mean that you pre-select a couple outfits for your child and then hand them beautifully on a clothes rack. And I honestly can't be bothered to buy a clothes rack for my child, and I also do not like the idea of an open wardrobe because it only looks pretty if you have like super color matched outfits for your baby. I am not that kind of blogger who has a capsule wardrobe for her child in one color. I get gifted clothes from his grandparents all the time, and they are all over the place in terms of color. Honestly, I just do not want to see his clothes displayed all the time. However, there are a few things that you can do if you don't feel like displaying your child's clothes. I have this drawer from IKEA. Again, I feel like everything in this room is from IKEA. It used to be a changing table, which I stopped using as soon as my son learned how to crawl, and he was super active on the changing table, so I just moved to the floor to change his diapers, and I'm just using this as a drawer and storage for his clothes. Honestly, these two drawers is all the clothes he has. I am using Marie Kondo's method, and I store the clothes vertically. So he has dividers here, and it's all sorted in categories. So these are his t-shirts, his thin shirts with long sleeves, and there are two bins with thicker sweaters and pullovers. Then at the bottom I have the bottoms, and it's just two drawers with pants and his socks and pajamas that are sorted together. And my son can perfectly open this. He knows that his pants are here, his socks are here, his pajamas are there. He knows that his sweaters are here, and he doesn't really care about choosing his outfits that much yet. So this works just perfectly for us. However, if you're looking for some other options, I could, for example, add a hook over here, and I could display two outfits over here, for example. Also, let's have a look at this wardrobe. My son is now 2 years old, and he can already open the top shelf. He can also open the drawer. He's been able to open the drawer for quite a while, so that can be used for vertical storage again. If you happen to have a wardrobe like this, please don't mind the mess. So what you could do, for example, is you could buy an extendable curtain rack and put it on a lower height and then put the clothes over there. There are also kinds of handles that could be attached at the bottom here so that the child can open the doors from over here. So as you can see, it's very, very possible to find a solution to incorporate Montessori into what you already have. So as you already figured out, I didn't want to add any extra furniture for my son's wardrobe upstairs, and I also didn't do that downstairs. So instead what I did is I utilized this wardrobe that we already have, and I just used the bottom drawer for his clothes. I put his seasonal jacket, his rain pants, and a hat in here, and he can open it perfectly by himself. He knows how to grab the jacket and to put it on, and I don't feel like he needs anything extra to display his clothes. He knows where they are, he knows how to put them back, and that just works perfectly for us. I also didn't do a separate stool for him downstairs to sit down on, although it is nice, but I just was lazy because we have stairs, and he can sit on the lower stair and put on his little shoes, and we just keep his shoes on a shelf, and he knows where they go, and again, it's just working for us. I want to show you our potty setup quickly. We do not potty train yet, but I've already gotten him a little potty a while ago, and it's just a copy of an adult toilet, which I think helps a lot, and it makes it much more attractive for my son to sit on it. And the important part is that we have his diapers and his napkins at his height, and he knows perfectly where his diapers are and his napkins. And if it's time to change, he knows where to go. He helps me, he grabs his diaper, he knows how to sit on the potty. I didn't want to make my life complicated, so I didn't create him a separate area in the bathroom, although I have seen a lot of very cute areas in the bathroom and I really wanted to make one, but honestly, I just couldn't be bothered. So instead, we just got a very simple IKEA stool for my child, and he can climb here. We have his toothbrush, his toothpaste, and the soap. I still control him using the soap, because if I do not, then he just goes rather crazy on the soap usage, and I'm just helping him with that. So we are now in the kitchen, and this is by far the most favorite play area of my son, and he absolutely loves his kitchen. It's an IKEA kitchen. We got it for like 20 euros from Kleinanzeigen. It was used, and I made it a bit prettier, and I made it functional by adding a proper water pump and turning the sink into a functional one. And I have an entire video on that makeover if you'd like to repeat it or get inspired by it. Here we also have his Play-Doh station. I got this super popular unit from IKEA. I don't like the way it looks, to be honest. I absolutely hate that you can kind of see all the mess in the shelves. I would have loved a different solution, but I don't have one yet. He also has a little chair. Again, this is like that $5.99 chair from IKEA, and a chair. This is actually a used chair that we just found on the street, and I cleaned it and painted it. I think it might have been an IKEA chair as well. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, it goes well together with the kitchen. My son was never a fan of high chair, and it was quite a struggle for me when I started weaning, because he didn't want to sit at the table. And once I introduced this little table, it was a big game changer, because he finally started sitting at the table, and he really liked that he can sit down and get up on his own timing. He didn't need to demand to take him out. He really enjoyed the independence, I have to admit. He doesn't eat here by himself anymore. Like, only if he wants to have a snack, he sits here, but he mainly uses it for Play-Doh, for crafting, for cooking, because he spends a lot of time in this play kitchen, and that's just his working area. We usually eat together at our coffee table in the living room, or sometimes we eat at his high chair that we have now transformed into a chair on which he can climb on by himself, and he doesn't need our help with that. Okay, and this is probably the most used and the most expensive Montessori related item that we have in our house, and this is his learning tower, which we got him when he was 1 year old. This has been used every single day, and this is, in my opinion, an absolute must-have, whether you're a Montessori family or not, because I honestly do not know how can families survive without this one. When Frederick was born, my mom spent the first 4 months here at our house, and she was a huge help, and she was cooking most of the time. And I remember that when we got her tickets back, I started freaking out, because I had no idea how I would be able to cook any food with a young baby. And that is when we also got my son a high chair that could be used for newborns, so that he could be on a higher level and he can watch me cook things. And then as he learned to stand, I knew for sure that we needed this learning tower, because I have been involving him into cooking. I would show him what I was doing. I would let him help me with spices or to put ingredients into the KitchenAid machine while I was baking, and he absolutely adores to cook and bake, and this is his favorite task to do. He now helps me with like peeling onions and peeling eggs, and he can slice eggs. It's just really, really helpful that he can do all of the things, and that he feels entitled and independent enough to actually do those things. Another important Montessori aspect that I want to mention is that it focuses on creating yes zones rather than forbidding your child everything. So for example, I didn't actually use child locks in my kitchen. I never locked any of my drawers, and I have a lot of drawers, and he learned how to open them quite early. What I did instead is, what I basically said, you're not allowed to open the drawers except for this one. And then I dedicated him a drawer. It was just a drawer full of bins in which I allowed him to take out everything and play with it, because I knew that he couldn't break it and it honestly did no harm. And yes, he created a mess, and yes, I had to clean it up, but what difference does it make whether I have to clean up his toys and his Lego pieces, or whether I have to clean up my kitchen bowls and put them back where they belong? As he was growing up, I extended the yes area, so I also allowed him to play with my pots and then with my frying pans when he became strong enough to actually lift them and hold them and not harm himself. Then I allowed him to take out the cat food from the drawer, and I also involved him into making and preparing my cat's breakfast and dinner, so he now knows that we need to feed our pet, and that is also an important developmental stage for a child, to learn how to care for someone else. Then I taught him how to use the trash bin under the sink. So I think you get the gist. I just made sure that none of the super easily accessible drawers have chemicals that are harmful for him, or like alcohol or super fragile items. He now knows that some of the drawers he's not allowed to open. He now knows that some of the drawers he can only open under my supervision. And this works quite well with babies, when instead of just saying no and not giving any reason, you instead say what can they do instead, how to satisfy the actions that they want to do without creating too much harm or inconvenience. It helps to reduce frustration significantly. As you can see, I don't like spending too much money on kids stuff, so I usually look out for things that have the highest return on investment. I'd say I didn't invest that much money into making our house Montessori friendly, but I did create a lot of spaces for our son to feel included in our world, feel less frustrated overall, and develop his independence. I hope I've given you plenty of inspiration on how you can improve your environment to make it even more fun for your kid. And if so, please hit the like button, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!